The wielder of Dorne is always given the title Sword of the Morning, and only a knight of House Dayne who is deemed worthy can carry it. The writings of Maester Yandel, The World of Ice and Fire. House Dayne of Starfall is a noble house from Starfall in Dorne. They are among the principal and most powerful houses sworn to House Martell. Their banner is a white sword and a falling star crossed on a lavender background, referencing the house's ancient origin. There also exists a cadet branch of the house, made up of landed knights, House Dayne of High Hermitage. However, we don't know how old this branch is or anything about their origins. The Danes are among the most striking of the Dornish houses and stand out among their fellow Dornishmen, given they originate from the western side of the Red Mountains. Under King Daeron I's classifications of the Dornish, House Dayne would be considered among the stony Dornish, even if they do not necessarily physically resemble most Dornishmen, let alone the stony. Their hair has often been described as pale blonde, sometimes dark, or even silver with streaks of black. Some Danes have blue eyes, but purple eyes tend to be the most common. Many take the Danes' silver hair and purple eyes as a sign they have Valyrian descent, but it's commonly accepted this is not the case, with the sources of the Danes' distinctive look coming from a different place altogether than the blood of old Valyria, as seen in houses such as Targaryen, Valyrian and Celtigar. Some have put forward that the Danes could have descended from adventurers from the great empire of the Dorne during the Dawn Age of Westeros, but if this were the case, it's unlikely to ever be provable. What I know is that the Danes have been killing Oakhearts for several thousand years. It seems to me that Oakhearts have been killing Danes for just as long. Gerald Dayne and Arianne Martell, Feast for Crows Chapter 21, The Queenmaker. House Dayne are not only one of the most ancient Dornish houses, but one of the oldest in Westeros altogether, claiming descent from the earliest of the first men to cross the land bridge from Essos. While most of their kin would not remain in the hot sands of Dorne, ancestors of the Danes crossed the Red Sands and headed to the west, where they raised their great seat of Starfall in the mouth of the Torrentine River, on an island sat in the fast-flowing waters. It is said they had followed a falling star, and there found a stone of magical power which became the ancestral sword of House Dayne, Dorne. A sword like no other, made from the very heart of a falling star. It is said House Dayne have wielded Dorne for 10,000 years. The blade is pale as milk glass, unlike the dark Valyrian steel, but similar in strength and sharpness. The coat of arms of House Dayne depict the white sword and the falling star. Unlike other houses who have ancestral swords, House Dayne does not pass it down from lord to heir. Only a knight of House Dayne who is deemed worthy enough can wield Dorne, with the Sword of the Morning, envied throughout all of the Seven Kingdoms. It's not uncommon for the blade to go unwielded for several generations if there is not a living knight deemed worthy of it. Starfall itself is in a key strategic location near the Red Mountains, very close to the city of Old Town in the Reach. The Torrentine River is famed for its fast-moving waters, with many unsuspecting travellers swept out into the summer sea by its strong currents. This in turn makes Starfall a highly defendable location, very hard to assault, and with the speed of the waters impossible to siege in a conventional way. The key feature of Starfall is the huge tower at its heart, known as the Pale Stone Sword. The blade was as pale as milk glass, alive with light. The thoughts of Eddard Stark. Game of Thrones Chapter 39. Eddard 10. When Dorne was a collection of petty kingdoms, much like the rest of Westeros, House Dayne ruled under the title of Kings of the Torrentine, with their biggest rivals being some of the other powerful petty kingdoms, particularly the kings of House Fowler and House Ironwood. Given that Starfall is located near the border with the Kingdom of the Reach, the kings of House Dayne often warred and raided their neighbours. In particular, several wars with House Oakheart. A King Samwell Dayne, known as Starfire, went so far as to burn Old Town, which given the size of the city even in ancient days, is no easy feat. The last Dayne king, Vorin Dayne, was known as the Sword of the Evening. He was defeated in Nymeria's war by House Martell and sent to the wall to live out the remainder of his days, along with 6 other Dornish kings defeated by House Martell. Afterwards, the Danes would support Nymeria against King Yorick V Ironwood. After the death of her second husband, the aged Lord Ulla, Ashara Dayne, who was the Sword of the Morning at the time, married Princess Nymeria and became the Prince Consort of Dorne. The couple had one son together. Nymeria remained unquestioned ruler of Dorne, with Davos only serving as a counsellor and consort. After Nymeria's death, she was succeeded by her eldest daughter, by Lord Martell, rather than her son with Sir Davos, as the Martells had come to adopt the Rhoynish custom of equal primogeniture. During the Targaryen era of Westeros, during the First Dornish War, 10 AC, a Sir Joffrey Dayne raided the Reach alongside House Fowler, who captured and sacked the seat of House Carron, Nightsong. When the heir to the Hightower, Sir Adam Hightower, led a strong host to retake the castle, Sir Joffrey marched from Starfall to Oldtown. Unable to breach the city walls, Joffrey had the fields, farms and villages burned for 20 leagues around the city. When Lord Manfred Hightower's younger son, Garmon, led a sortie against Dayne, Joffrey slew the boy. By the time Adam Hightower returned to Oldtown, the Dayne army had melted back into the Red Mountains. In a response to Sir Joffrey's attack, Queen Visenya Targaryen and her dragon Vhagar burned Starfall. The extent of the damage is not known. In 47 AC, Lady Clarisse Dayne was suggested as one of the potential wives for King Maegor the Cruel, but was ultimately not selected. It's also believed that Grand Maester Bennifer wanted to detach Starfall from Dorne and add it to the realm of House Targaryen, given its strong defendable position, creating a buffer between Dorne and Oldtown, the other side of the Red Mountains. However, nothing appears to have come of this idea. A Sir Ulrich Dayne, a Sword of the Morning, was considered an exceptional knight by Sir Eustace Osgrey, comparable to swordsmen of his age, the likes of Daemon I Blackfyre and Aemon the Dragon Knight, which would have made him one of the best swordsmen in Westeros. The blood of House Dayne not only joined that of House Targaryen, but eventually even ruled the Seven Kingdoms itself. Lady Diana Dayne married the 4th son of King Daeron II, Maekars, with the pair having 5 children: Daeron, Aerion, Aemon, Daela, Aegon and Rhae. Diana would die sometime before 209 AC, before her husband unexpectedly became king. When Maekar died in battle in 233 AC, the throne passed to Diana and Maekar's 4th son, Aegon. Thus, via King Aegon V, all Targaryen kings who followed him had Dayne blood. Even after the downfall of House Targaryen, thanks to the marriage pact between House Targaryen and Baratheon, in which King Aegon V's youngest daughter Rhaella married the Lord of Storm's End, Ormond Baratheon, means that King Robert Baratheon can also claim to carry the blood of House Dayne via his grandmother. Me, that boy I was. When did he die, I wonder? When I donned the white cloak? When I opened Aerys' throat? That boy had wanted to be Sir Arthur Dayne, but someplace along the way he had become the Smiling Knight instead. The Thoughts of Jaime Lannister, A Storm of Swords, Chapter 67, Jaime 8. House Dayne could be viewed as having played a key role in the build-up and during Robert's rebellion. We know that when the Princess of Dorne was looking for a marriage for her 2 youngest children, Elia and Oberyn, she travelled to Casterly Rock to meet with Tywin Lannister about a marriage to one or both of his children, the twins Jaime and Cersei. Lady Ashara Dayne, the sister of the then Lord of Starfall, travelled as part of this party. Ashara would later become one of the ladies-in-waiting for Elia Martell after her marriage to Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. Thus, she spent much of her time at court in King's Landing. Ashara was described as a young, beautiful, tall and fair maiden with haunting violet eyes. Her long, dark hair tumbled around her shoulders. According to Sir Barristan Selmy, Daenerys Targaryen's eyes resemble that of Ashara. Ashara's brother was Sir Arthur Dayne, who was the Sword of the Morning and the deadliest knight in Westeros at the time. He was a member of the Kingsguard of King Aerys II Targaryen. Jaime Lannister idolized Arthur and recalls that Arthur was stronger and a better swordsman than he ever was. Arthur wielded Dorne as part of his office as Sword of the Morning, carrying it slung across his back. In 281 AC, to defeat the Kingswood Brotherhood, he gained the trust of the smallfolk of the Kingswood by paying for what he and his forces took and taking their grievances before King Aerys II. While Aerys did nothing to help the smallfolk, many were thankful Arthur tried. In the end, Arthur slew the Smiling Knight in single combat and ended the threat of the outlaws. Following that victory, he knighted Jaime Lannister, who would later become a sworn brother of the Kingsguard alongside Arthur. Arthur was also said to be the champion in the tourney to honour the birth of Prince Viserys Targaryen in 276 AC, defeating Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. In another tourney, Arthur was said to have broken 12 lances against Prince Rhaegar, losing to the prince. At the Tourney at Harrenhal in 281 AC, he was once again defeated by Rhaegar. How dare you play the noble lord with me? What do you take me for? You've a bastard of your own. I've seen him. Who was the mother, I wonder? Some Dornish peasant you assaulted while her holdfast burned? A whore? Or was it the grieving sister, the Lady Ashara? She threw herself into the sea, I'm told. Why was that? For the brother you slew, or the child you stole? Cersei Lannister to Eddard Stark. A Game of Thrones, Chapter 45, Eddard 12. Ashara Dayne was present at the Tourney at Harrenhal in 281 AC, where she danced with knights of the Kingsguard, Prince Oberyn Martell, and Lord Jon Connington. It is said that Brandon Stark, the wild young heir to Winterfell, approached her on behalf of his younger brother Eddard. Ashara would in fact go on to dance with Eddard that night. According to Alyria Dayne, Ashara's younger sister, Ashara and Eddard fell in love at Harrenhal. This is also supported by the fact that Sir Barristan Selmy of the Kingsguard was also in love with Ashara, although he could never tell her so. Barristan recalls that had he won the tourney, he would have named Ashara his Queen of Love and Beauty. According to Barristan, Ashara was dishonoured by a man at Harrenhal. He states that Ashara looked at Stark following the final tilt at the tourney, although he did not identify the Stark in question, giving contextual clues many believe this to mean Eddard Stark. However, Brandon could still be a possibility. It was also at Harrenhal that Prince Rhaegar Targaryen fell in love with Lyanna Stark, and thus the path to Robert's rebellion was open. It is believed that Arthur, along with his other sworn brothers of the Kingsguard, Sir Oswell Went, aided Rhaegar in the kidnap of Lyanna Stark near Harrenhal as the year of the false spring was ending. However, the exact details of this are not fully understood. We cannot say for sure who aided Rhaegar, with it also being possible Lyanna Stark left with Rhaegar willingly. Regardless, Robert's rebellion began shortly after. At the end of the rebellion, Arthur, Oswell, and Sir Gerald Hightower, the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, were found by Lord Eddard Stark at the Tower of Joy in the Red Mountains of Dorne. Arthur died there, fighting Eddard and his companions, but the exact circumstances of his death are unclear. The recorded histories describe Arthur as being killed by Eddard in single combat. However, Bran Stark recalls his father describing Arthur as the finest knight he'd ever saw, and elaborated further that Arthur would have killed him if it was not for Howland Reed. Stones from the tower were used to build his grave upon a nearby ridge. After Arthur's death, Eddard rode to Starfall, the seat of House Dayne, to return the sword Dorne to Arthur's sister, Lady Ashara, as a sign of respect. Some have noted this is odd, however, given the distance between the Tower of Joy and Starfall, and the fact Starfall would have greatly been out of Eddard's way. Sometime after Eddard's visit, Ashara jumped from atop Palestone Tower into the sea below, with her body never being recovered. Several characters have suggested that the possible reason for Ashara's decision to commit suicide was a broken heart because of a speculated stillborn daughter, or possibly of a different stolen child, from the man who had dishonoured her at Harrenhal, or simply the grief over Arthur's death. At Winterfell, Eddard Stark's soldiers spread the tale that Ashara was the mother of Eddard's bastard son, Jon Snow. When Eddard's wife Catelyn Tully heard these stories from her maids, she confronted her husband about it, who refused to confirm or deny anything regarding Jon's mother, and subsequently silenced all talk of Ashara at Winterfell. Her name was never mentioned at the castle again. It's believed several other important people across Westeros also believe the tale that Ashara is Jon Snow's mother. However, this is just one of many popular versions of this theory. The squire seemed nice enough to Arya, maybe a little shy, but good-natured. She'd always heard that Dornishmen were small and swarthy, with black hair and small black eyes. But Ned had big blue eyes, so dark they looked almost purple, and his hair was a pale blonde, more ash than honey. The thoughts of Arya Stark. A Storm of Swords, Chapter 43. Arya 8. Travelling through the Riverlands during the War of Five Kings, Arya Stark meets the Brotherhood without banners. She learns that Lord Edric Dayne accompanied Lord Beric Dondarrion in his mission to bring Sir Gregor Clegane to justice. When the band was ambushed at the Mummers Ford, Beric was killed, with Edric defending his body, allowing it to be recovered and later accidentally revived by Thoros of Myr. Edric had accompanied his fellow survivors, forming an outlaw fellowship dedicated to guarding the small folk of the Riverlands from the cruelties of war. At this time, Edric is around 12 years of age. Although he can be shy, Edric is seen as a good-natured and polite person. We learn that Edric attended the Hands Tourney at King's Landing and saw Lord Eddard Stark. He wanted to speak to Eddard, given his history with Ashara and Arthur Dayne, but he did not know what to say. He also mentions he saw Sansa Stark at the tourney, when Sir Loras Tyrell gives her a rose. When Arya Stark is taken by the Brotherhood without banners to the Hollow Hill, she sees that Lord Beric has a young squire named Ned, who helps remove his breastplate. She's unnerved by hearing the name Ned, the same nickname as her father. Ned brings Beric his sword, surcoat and shield before he fights a duel with Sandor Clegane. After Beric is killed in the duel, Thoros of Myr has Ned help him with Beric's body before the Red Priest revives the Lightning Lord with the last kiss. Ned fights alongside Beric during the Battle of the Burning Septry, and he accompanies the outlaws to High Heart. Edric attempts to befriend a wary Arya during the Brotherhood's travels, and her friend Gendry is scornful of their interactions. He tells Arya that he saw her father and her sister at the Hands Tourney. He also claims he and Arya's half-brother Jon Snow are milk brothers, that his wet nurse Wyler, who had been a servant of House Dayne for many years, was Jon Snow's mother, and swears that it's true on the honour of his house. The theory of Wyler being Jon Snow's mother is another popular theory, alongside that of Ashara, Lyanna Stark, and the fisherman's daughter. When Arya Stark asks who he is, he reveals he is the Lord of Starfall, Edric Dayne. He tells Arya more about his family, and is surprised that her father never spoke of Edric's aunt, Ashara, committing suicide over her broken heart. He hesitantly tells Arya that his aunt Valyria had told him that Ashara and Eddard fell in love at the Tourney at Harrenhal. This upsets Arya to hear that her father might have loved someone besides her mother Catelyn. Edric tries to apologise to her, but she doesn't want to hear it and rides away. After Beric's final death, Edric and several other members of Beric's band go their separate ways from those who chose to resurrect the vengeful Lady Stoneheart. You were a fool to make him part of this. Darkstar is the most dangerous man in Dorne. You and he have done us all great harm. Doran Martell to Arianne Martell. A Feast for Crows, Chapter 40. Princess in the Tower. During A Feast for Crows, Arianne Martell enlists Sir Gerald Dayne of the High Hermitage branch of House Dayne for her plot to crown Myrcella Baratheon. Gerald is in his late 20s and a handsome man with a clean-shaven face and an aquiline nose, high cheekbones and dark purple eyes with a strong jaw. He has collar-length silver hair, divided by a streak of midnight black. Despite his beauty and valour, Gerald is a cruel man with angry eyes. He is jealous of his famous cousin, the late Arthur Dayne, who was the Sword of the Morning. He goes by the nickname Darkstar, as a reference to the streak of black in his hair. We do not know exactly when. At some stage, he was the lover of Arianne Martell. At Shandystone, Arianne admits to her other conspirators that she only included Darkstar for his fighting prowess and his keep, High Hermitage. Gerald is skeptical of Arianne's plan to provoke Queen Regent Cersei Lannister. Arianne's party is surprised while at the Greenblood River by Areo Hotha, who orders them to surrender. Gerald agrees since they are vastly outnumbered, but Myrcella's bodyguard, Sir Aris Oakheart of the Kingsguard, rises to his death in an attack on Areo. Amidst the fighting, Gerald attempts to kill Myrcella, but her horse suddenly rears, and Darkstar succeeds in only slicing off her ear and scarring her face. He escapes Areo's guards, by riding into the sands of Dorne. Myrcella is taken to Sunspear, where Maester Carlot saves her life. Arianne ponders whether her plan had been betrayed by Darkstar, or by another of her conspirators. Later, in a dance with dragons, Sir Balon Swan arrives at the Sunspear with Sir Gregor Clegane's skull. Under Arianne's instructions, Myrcella has blamed Darkstar, not Areo, for the death of Aerys. Arianne's father, Doran Martell, the Prince of Dorne, sends Obara Sand with Balon to hunt Gerald at High Hermitage. Cersei thinks that Darkstar might be the cat's paw of her brother Tyrion Lannister, whom she already blames for the death of her first son, Joffrey Baratheon, and her father, Tywin Lannister. During the Winds of Winter sample chapters, while travelling to the Stormlands, Arianne and Sir Daemon Sand discuss Gerald. Arianne feels that Oberyn and Areo can kill Darkstar. Although Daemon is skeptical, Arianne is regretful for ever trusting him, thinking that he was so handsome she had not believed half the stories told about him.